James was an 8-year-old boy who always said, "I'll do it later." When his mom asked him to pack up his toys and books, James stretched out on the couch and said, "Later, Mom." When his dad asked him to pick up a present for his friend, James yawned and mumbled, "I'll do it later." And when it was time to brush his teeth before bed, James thought, "I'll just go to sleep. I'll do it later." The problem? Later never came. James always put things off, and soon his later turned into a pile of unfinished tasks. He thought it was no big deal, but things were about to change. That night, something strange happened. As James lay in bed thinking about all the things he had put off, a soft glow filled the room. A shiny silver wristwatch appeared on his nightstand. On the back, an engraving read, "For the one who wishes to see the future." Without thinking, James slipped the watch onto his wrist and pressed a button. In an instant, the room blurred, and James felt himself being pulled through time. When everything stopped spinning, he found himself in a version of his future room. But it wasn't what he expected. James froze. His room was a mess. Dirty laundry everywhere, scattered toys, old snack wrappers. He could barely find a path to walk. "What happened?" he asked, bewildered. A tired, older version of himself stepped in. His teeth were yellow with cavities, and his breath stank. "I'm you," future James said. "This is what happens when you keep saying later. I never brushed my teeth, never cleaned up, and now my teeth hurt all the time." James winced. "But I thought I could just do it later." "Later never comes," future James replied. "I missed a party because I never picked up my friend's present. And now I don't even have any friends. I never took care of things, and now it's too late." James felt a pang of fear. He didn't want to end up like this. Suddenly, the wristwatch beeped. The messy room faded away, and James found himself in a different future. Everything was neat and calm. His bed was made, books neatly stacked, the floor spotless. Future James was now bright and cheerful. "This is a future you could have," he said. "When you start forming good habits, everything becomes easier. You feel in control, proud, and best of all, I still have my friends." James looked around in amazement. "How did you do it?" "It's simple," future James smiled. "I brushed my teeth, made my bed, finished my homework on time, and never said later. I handled things today, and now my life is better." James noticed how energized future James looked. "You don't seem tired like me. How did you avoid feeling sluggish?" "I started moving every day," future James explained. "Exercise helped me feel awake and strong. I didn't just sit around waiting for later. And when you take care of small things as they come up, they never pile up into something overwhelming." Future James paused. "It's not easy at first. Sometimes I didn't want to do things. But the key is starting small. Even brushing your teeth or making your bed makes a huge difference in the long run." James nodded. He understood now. He didn't want to end up like that sad, messy version of himself. He had the power to change. Just before he could say anything, the wristwatch beeped again. The magic reversed, and James found himself back in his own room, standing among his mess. For the first time, he didn't feel overwhelmed. He realized that things didn't need to be perfect, just manageable. First, he made his bed. Then, he picked up his clothes. His desk still needed work, but he tackled it bit by bit. Each small task made him feel more in control and confident. Over the next few weeks, James kept up with his small tasks. He made his bed every morning, put things away after using them, and finished his homework before playing video games. It wasn't always easy, and some days he still didn't feel like doing anything. But he remembered what his future self had told him. The more he did, the easier it would get. One day, James realized something. His room was clean, his homework was done on time, and he felt more energized. He was already on his way to becoming that organized, happy version of himself. How about you? Do you ever find yourself saying later and putting things off? We all have moments where we want to delay something important. But Remember, every small choice you make today shapes the future you want. Later or now, your future is in your hands.